Hey guys, my name is Kern and welcome back to Octane Street, the road here on YouTube that never ends. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 things that I hate about my 2014 Hyundai Veloster Turbo. Now, I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary with the car. I bought it back in February of 2018. So in about 2 months, I'm gonna be having my 2-year anniversary with this car. And keep in mind that this is my very first car that I ever owned. And these things that are on my top 5 things that I hate about my Veloster list are things that are genuine, they're things that are original, and these are things that actually affect how I feel about the car every single day on a daily basis. And before I begin, actually, these 5 things are in order. So 1 being the thing I hate the most, and 5 being the thing that is most tolerable that I still dislike very much. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with number 5. So the 5th thing I hate most about my Veloster is the paddle shifters. Now I know it's an inexpensive Korean vehicle. It is supposed to be a sporty vehicle, so keep that in mind. But it is inexpensive and it's really hard to get the timing on paddle shifters down if it's not a dual clutch transmission. Now I'm not trying to say that it should be paddle shifters like is in the Audi R8 V10. If you guys haven't seen my video where I drive that, you've seen a clip of it in the intro, but if you want to see the full video, then click in the card right here. But the paddle shifters on that car is absolutely phenomenal. I can make a whole video about the paddle shifters on that car because they're extremely lightning quick. It almost feels like it's predicting when you want to shift up or down, as opposed to doing it after the fact. So what I mean when I talk bad about these ones is that there's just too much of a delay. I'm gonna get you guys some footage. You'll see it on screen, but there's too big of a gap when you actually press upshift or downshift and when the transmission actually makes that action happen. So it's too much of a gap to make it pretty much unusable in my opinion, which is a shame because I absolutely love paddle shifters. And I know, just buy a manual if you want to shift your own gears, I get it. But if you guys don't know, I have a series on my channel that's called Learning to Drive Stick. I don't know fully how to drive stick yet, something I'm learning to do, and I have a blast every time that I get behind the wheel of a manual transmission vehicle. Now for the 4th thing on my list of things I hate about my Veloster Turbo. It affects me every single day when it comes to driving, and that's gonna be the remaining mileage for the gas tank, okay? So all cars usually have a little readout in kilometers or miles, depending where you live, or rather depending where the car was made, kind of telling you approximately how many miles or kilometers you have left in that tank before you have to go ahead and refuel. Now this car is absolutely horrible at predicting and dictating how much mileage you actually have left in that gas tank. So I'll give you guys an example. When you fill the car up and you have it on eco mode, okay? If you fill it up, I put 93 or 94 octane in my car. And when I fill it up and then the car's full, absolutely full till the pump actually stops itself, it'll say that I have about 730 kilometers with a full tank of gas on eco mode. Now, if I drive until my car is empty while on eco mode and I have my trip odometer showing from 0 to empty tank, it'll only be at like 380 to 400 kilometers. And that's in eco mode. I left it in there for a test, and it's horrible because that's a huge difference. It's almost cut by half of what the car is actually predicting. And that's really annoying because it really makes that feature of the car completely obsolete because it's so far off. So that's something I hate about the car. And even though, again, it's an inexpensive vehicle, something as simple as that I feel like should be a little bit more accurate. Let me know in the comment section right below that like button what you guys experience in your vehicles and if your vehicle is just as inaccurate as mine, because I'm really curious to find out. But yeah, that's something that ticks me off pretty bad. All right, so now we're into the top 3 of things that I hate about my Veloster Turbo. And this is where the things that I hate are a lot more obstructing when it comes to, the quality of the vehicle and how happy I feel with this vehicle. So try and get a good angle for you guys here. So number 3 on my list is actually gonna be A-pillar visibility. Now, I'll try and give you guys an image from inside the cabin of what it looks like when you're driving to see through, have to look through the A-pillar. Obviously, this is important every time you're making a turn, and especially at nighttime. Now, when it's nighttime and in these back roads where I live, you could say it's kind of a combination of the A-pillar visibility as well as there not being enough street lights, but at certain stop signs, it's almost impossible to see through that A-pillar visibility. I have to literally move my head left and right, almost as if I'm boxing and weaving, just to make sure that I'm not gonna hit anyone and that it's safe to proceed ahead. So the A-pillar visibility is pretty bad, and I think it's because of the slope design that they have here. So the way that it slopes right here, I think because of the angle that it just takes up more of this visible area, again, due to that angle. So I know I sound probably really stupid trying to explain that, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. All right, and now for the second thing that I hate most about my Veloster Turbo. Now, it's really hard for me to decide between the second and first things that I hate, because both of these really annoy me. And I really hope that they're changed for newer models. Again, mine is 2014, so I'm hoping that they're changed for 2016 and up, especially for things like the Veloster N. However, the second thing I hate most about my Veloster is the interior or cabin noise cancellation. Now, what I mean by this is, say, when you're driving in your vehicle, okay, there's certain noises that you're gonna experience. You're gonna hear, maybe your motor putting in the work. You might hear your exhaust, depending if you have, a system on it, or depending if it's a sports car or whatnot. And more than likely, you will experience tire noise because your tires are rubbing against the ground at ridiculous speeds, and that's gonna create some noise. And not to forget about wind noise, okay? Depending if it's a windy day, whatnot, what speed you're driving at, you're gonna hear wind noise, okay? So all of these noises are somewhat dampened by the materials you have in your car and the windows that are in your car, okay? So the better materials, say for example, if you have double paned windows, glass, then it's gonna severely reduce the amount of noise that you hear while driving down the road. And now, I'm not asking for a luxury experience, but this car, very often when I'm driving my vehicle, I always have to keep clicking up on the window switches because I hear so much outside noise that I always think that a window is cracked or down. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Every single time I drive my car, my hands are always automatically going to the window switches, because even though I know it's just the interior noise cancellation quality, I still can't help but feel sometimes like it's way too loud in here. Why am I hearing wind as if I'm actually driving with a drop top down? Like, it's ridiculous sometimes. And this plays a big factor. For example, if you wanna, go on the highway, if you wanna listen to music, it's almost impossible to, unless you have your radio at like 20 out of 30 on a volume scale, because there's just so much noise. I hear my tires like crazy, and it doesn't help that I'm on winter tires right now because it's winter here in Canada. I hear wind noise like crazy. The interior noise cancellation quality is horrible. Again, I know this is a Korean little sports car that's inexpensive, but they seriously could have done better with the interior noise cancellation qualities. Now, I'm not even gonna bash the interior quality because, again, it's an inexpensive car. I know what I'm getting myself into when I buy a car that's inexpensive like this. But at the same time, the dampening, the noise dampening really needs help, and I'm hoping that this is fixed in later models. In my car, it's absolutely deafening, and I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So you might be wondering, what could I hate even more than that? Well, that's gonna bring us down to number one. The thing I hate the absolute most about my Veloster Turbo, and it's sad to say this, is the harsh ride quality. Now, what I mean by this is mainly in the suspension area, okay? So for example, there's a lot of potholes, especially during winter, and this car takes them horribly. Speed bumps, potholes, curbs, like not actual curbs, but when you're going onto driveways, everything is horrible, it's harsh in this car. And now, don't get me wrong, I understand some cars are like that for better handling, lower center of gravity. The lower you are, the more you're gonna feel, the stiffer your springs, the better the handling, but the more you're gonna feel. But again, this is a 200 horsepower car. My ride quality shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't feel like I'm in a Pagani Huayra. okay? And I'm sure even those feel better. It's so stiff to the point where for a long time I wasn't sure if the previous owner had cut the OEM springs to lower the car. The car does look a little bit low, but I'm pretty sure that it's factory. But I haven't fully looked at that, so it might just be my car if something has been tampered with the suspension components. But man, the ride quality on my car is so horrible that the few times my mother did drive my car, she got like scared because whenever she went over a pothole, it feels and sounds like the car is braking. Now, for someone, again, this was my first car, so of course I didn't know that this was abnormal, right? I haven't driven many cars before buying this car, so I didn't know that feeling those harsh, you know, bumps in the road was abnormal. But having been an apprentice mechanic and having to test drive cars as part of my job really makes me realize how horrible the ride quality in my own car is. And it's really sad because, sure, if I was buying a $2 million car, I'll expect it to be stiff because it's meant for the track. But here with a 200 horsepower, $15,000 car used, come on, you know, I'd rather a better ride than that. So that is the thing that I hate the absolute most about my car. And again, it's just how harsh the ride is. Even if I were to hook you guys up inside the car and just drive down a street, the camera shakes like crazy. It's unbearable. My car would need like 4 gimbals just to stabilize the footage. That's how bad it is. I'm not exaggerating, and that's why it's #1 on my list. So that concludes the 5 things I hate the absolute most about my car. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that there's things that I don't love about the car. So if that's something you guys want to see, then be sure to let me know in the comment section right below that like button, and I'll make it happen. As well as, like I mentioned, we are coming up on a 2-year anniversary with this car, and it is my first car. So if that's something you guys want to see, maybe me do a 2-year review on the Veloster Turbo, maybe you guys are looking to buy it yourself, then, you know, I will go ahead and do that as well. But that's all for today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you guys can ride shotgun with me on the next video. Peace.